Hi, friends. Welcome back again for another Wonders reading lesson. Yesterday, we left off by reading half of the story called Gary the Dreamer by Gary Soto. And the genre of this text is narrative nonfiction. Let's go to page 17, where we can pick up where we left off in our story. Whoops, let's go back. Okay, so we had just started reading about Gary Soto and all the things that he has been doing in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. And we're going to pick up where he is in third grade. Let's get started.
By third grade, I was a good reader. I loved picture books. The pages were bright and colorful as toucans, those tropical birds with long beaks. Every week I went to the public library. I checked out mountains of books. I was still a dreamer. Sometimes I watched ants going in and out of their holes, or I would watch water racing in the curb. The river of water carried matchsticks, leaves, gum wrappers, and those poor little ants. I rescued some of those ants. I put them carefully on my finger and set them on the cement curb. They lay for a while like weak little shadows. Then they woke up and staggered away.
What is Gary like in third grade?
It was fun in third grade. I still stayed small, like those ants, I guess. I was scared of math, poor me. But reading was what I really liked. I read on the couch. I read in bed with carrot sticks, like pencils in my hands.
So I'm going to check my comprehension again, see if I am understanding everything. So, a question I asked myself was, what was Gary like in third grade? To answer it, I read page 18. Gary stayed small, he liked reading, and was scared of math. He read everywhere he could. So, he preferred reading over math. Some of you might prefer math over reading, or you might like them both equally.
I liked to read in my favorite tree. Once, when Boots came by, I tossed a piece of bark at him. He looked around and meowed. I giggled. I tossed another piece of bark at him. This time Boots saw me and climbed up the tree. We sat on a fat limb, the two of us. I read him a story about a bird. He licked his paws. The engine inside him began to purr. I guess Boots liked reading too.
So, boys and girls, what the author did here was very neat. He used the skill visualizing to help us see what he meant. Even if we didn't have the illustrator to provide pictures, when he writes, uses these words to write, the engine inside him began to purr. I can visualize in my brain, I can see pictures in my brain, kind of like a mind movie of a cat that has a really loud purr, so much that it's almost like an engine inside of him. That's a really neat skill that you, as a writer, and other authors can use to make their writing more interesting. And as a reader, you can use those words to visualize and get those mind movies going in your brain.
On weekends, my family went to Chinatown. We bought groceries there at the Mexican store. I remember mariachis roving the street. Their sombreros were huge. You couldn't see their eyes, only their hanging mustaches. Their trumpets blared, the guitars strummed. Their violins seemed to weep. The guitarron thumped deeply. One time, I saw a dog dance to the mariachi music. The dog went back and forth, like he was doing the cha-cha. Every night I took a bubble bath in our deep tub. The water roared from the faucet as I climbed in. The bubbles rose like mountains. No, like really pretty clouds. I scooped up the bubbles and patted them onto my face. I pretended that I had a beard. I placed some of the bubbles on my head. Oh, a sombrero. I was a dreamer. I was sometimes in another world. In bed, I covered myself with 2 blankets. I thought about the day before I fell asleep, so tired. My legs kicked. As I dreamed, I was running for a touchdown, and the whole school was watching me. Gary Soto grew up to be an author. He dreamed up ideas for more than 40 books for children and grown-ups. He shares his Mexican-American culture through his poems and stories.
So, what happens when Gary grows up? Let's take a look and listen about the author and illustrators.
About the author and illustrator. Gary Soto may be a dreamer, but he is also a reader. He says, "I don't have much of a life because my nose is often stuck in a book. But I discovered that reading builds a life inside the mind. I enjoy biographies and novels and reading in Spanish." He also likes theater, sports, and traveling. Gary is an award-winning author of more than 40 books for children and grown-ups. Elizabeth Gomez is a well-known painter and book illustrator. Her dreamy paintings shine with lovely colors. "In everything I paint," she says, "there are always people, animals, plants, and beauty." Elizabeth also helps people paint murals on school walls. She says that she loves to see a plain wall become a little gem. Author's purpose. Why do you think the author called himself a dreamer?
So, boys and girls, you can see in this excerpt about the author, they provide a real photo of him, and that's really neat. We can see what the author looks like, and we also have a photo of the illustrator. Boys and girls, I hope you liked this story. I do want you to think about, why do you think the author called himself a dreamer? And boys and girls, I hope you have enjoyed this lesson, and until next time, bye for now.